Maya
I was
woke up
wondering
early
if
that
it's
morning,
possible to switch to
feeling
one
the
of the
usual
VIP
mix of
seats.
excitement and nervousness she always felt before a busy
Let me
flight.
see what I can
She
do
had
for
been
you.
working with the airline for several
Excuse me,
years and
I
had
just
learned
need
to
to
handle
confirm if
almost
it's
every
possible to switch
situation
to
with
one of the
calm and
VIP
patience.
seats. Let me
Today,
check
she
for
was
you. I'll see
assigned to
what's
the
available.
VIP section of a large flight to New York.
Excuse me, I
This
just wanted
section
to
was
confirm
special.
if it would be
It
possible
had
to
more
switch to one
comfortable
of the
seats,
VIP
extra
seats.
space, and
Let me check for
passengers
you
who
right away.
expected top-quality service.
I
Maya
was
liked
just
the
asking
VIP
about the
section
VIP seats.
because it allowed
Is
her to
there any way
interact
I
more
could switch
closely
to
with
those seats
passengers
today?
and make their experience pleasant. She always believed that kindness could make even a stressful journey smoother. She dressed carefully in her uniform, making sure everything was neat and tidy. Her badge shone under the light of the early morning sun. As she walked into the terminal, she noticed the passengers slowly arriving. Some were busy on their phones, others were reading books or newspapers. A few looked tired from early flights, while some smiled politely as they found their assigned seats. Maya greeted each passenger with a warm smile, answering questions and assisting with luggage when needed. She enjoyed seeing passengers relaxed and happy, knowing that her small efforts made a difference. Once all the passengers had boarded, Maya checked the seating chart one last time. Each seat had been assigned carefully, considering requests, preferences, and ticket types. She walked down the aisle, making sure everyone was settled. A passenger sitting near the window thanked her for the help, and Maya responded with a friendly nod. It was moments like these that reminded her why she loved her job. The flight was calm, and Maya continued her work quietly. She offered drinks and snacks, answered questions about connecting flights, and ensured that every passenger had what they needed. She enjoyed these moments of interaction, especially when passengers shared small stories or smiled in gratitude. For Maya, service was not just a job. It was a way to connect with people from different places and backgrounds. Suddenly, a man approached her. He was wearing a neat suit and carried an air of importance. Maya noticed immediately that he was heading toward the VIP section. His expression was serious, and there was a slight impatience in the way he walked. He handed her his boarding pass and asked if he could change seats. Maya looked at the seating chart carefully. She saw that his ticket was for a specific seat that was already occupied according to the approved seating plan. Politely, she explained to him that the VIP section seats were assigned and could not be changed without proper authorization. She smiled gently, hoping to make the message clear without upsetting him. The man frowned and insisted, saying he preferred a different seat. Maya remained calm, knowing that staying professional was important. She repeated the airline rules, emphasizing that switching seats was not allowed unless approved by management. The man's tone became slightly sharper, but Maya did not lose her composure. She had faced demanding passengers before, and had learned that patience and respect often helped in these situations. She carefully suggested that he could wait for a possible seat change if management approved it, but until then, he needed to remain in his assigned seat. The man hesitated, clearly frustrated, but did not argue further. Maya nodded politely and moved away to attend to another passenger. She continued her duties, serving drinks and snacks, checking on passengers' comfort, and ensuring the cabin was orderly. Around her, other members of the VIP team worked efficiently. Each of them moved quietly through the section, helping passengers with their requests. The atmosphere was calm, and Maya focused on making the flight experience as pleasant as possible. She enjoyed seeing passengers relax, reading books, or chatting quietly with their companions. Maya's attention returned to the man who had asked for the seat change. She noticed him pick up a phone and start dialing. She could not hear clearly what he was saying, but the expression on his face suggested he was reporting something or asking for assistance. Maya felt a small wave of concern, but reminded herself that she had followed the rules and acted professionally. She took a deep breath and focused on the tasks at hand, hoping the situation would not escalate further. As the flight prepared for takeoff, Maya checked once more to ensure every passenger was comfortable. She adjusted pillows, offered water, and smiled warmly at anyone who looked uneasy. The cabin was calm, and she felt satisfied that she had done everything possible to make the passengers feel welcomed and cared for. For Maya, these moments of quiet service were rewarding. She believed that treating people with respect and fairness was more important than any complaint or difficulty she might face. The plane began to taxi toward the runway, and Maya felt a mixture of pride and nervousness. She knew that in the VIP section, every action was noticed and every decision mattered. She was determined to continue her work with patience, kindness, and professionalism, no matter what challenges the day might bring. The morning sun streamed through the windows, casting a warm glow across the cabin, and Maya felt ready to handle whatever came next with calm confidence and grace. Maya noticed that the man in the suit had not returned to his seat yet. He stood near the aisle, occasionally glancing at her and muttering something under his breath. Maya stayed calm, knowing that remaining professional was the best way to handle any situation. She continued serving drinks to other passengers, but her eyes occasionally checked on him to make sure everything remained under control. The VIP section was busy, with passengers quietly reading, chatting, or enjoying refreshments, and she wanted to keep the atmosphere peaceful. The man finally approached her again. He spoke in a firm tone and repeated his request to switch seats. Maya smiled politely and explained once more that the seating arrangement had already been approved and could not be changed without authorization. She suggested that he could speak to the flight manager if he wanted to request a change, but until then, he needed to stay in his assigned seat. The man's frown deepened and he crossed his arms, clearly unhappy with the answer. Maya felt a small tension in the air. She knew that some passengers could become frustrated when things did not go their way, but she also knew that she had done everything by the rules. She spoke clearly, using calm words, hoping to avoid any misunderstanding. "I understand that you would like a different seat," she said, "but all VIP seats are assigned according to our system. If you want, I can call the flight manager to see if any change is possible, but until then, your seat must remain the same." The man shook his head, and then did something Maya had not expected. He picked up the phone in the VIP section and made a call. She could not hear exactly what he was saying, but she noticed that his voice was firm and he spoke quickly. After a few minutes, he ended the call and turned to look at her. Maya kept her expression neutral and continued her work, hoping that this would not escalate further. As she moved down the aisle, offering refreshments to other passengers, Maya noticed the man speaking quietly to another staff member. He seemed frustrated and impatient, glancing at the VIP seating area multiple times. Maya's heart beat a little faster, but she reminded herself that she had done nothing wrong. She had followed the airline rules and treated the passenger politely. She took a deep breath and focused on her duties, keeping her attention on helping everyone in the VIP section feel comfortable. Other passengers in the VIP area were unaware of the tension. A young woman smiled at Maya and thanked her for bringing a blanket, while an older man nodded politely after receiving his coffee. Maya appreciated these small gestures. They reminded her why she always tried to remain calm and helpful, even when a difficult passenger made her job more challenging. She knew that being professional and kind could often prevent a small issue from turning into a larger problem. A few minutes later, a colleague whispered to Maya that the man on the phone had spoken with someone at the airline headquarters. The colleague seemed nervous but tried to stay calm. Maya nodded and whispered back, "We are following the rules. We cannot change the seats without approval." She wanted her team to stay confident and professional, even if the situation became stressful. Together, they continued serving passengers, making sure that drinks were refilled, blankets were available, and everyone was comfortable. The man finally returned to his seat, but he kept glancing at Maya as she worked. She continued moving quietly between the rows, checking passengers' needs. Her focus was on making everyone feel valued and cared for. Even though the situation with the man had made the morning more tense than usual, she reminded herself that her professionalism and calm attitude were her strongest tools. As the flight prepared for takeoff, Maya completed the final checks. She ensured that all passengers had fastened their seatbelts, that trays were properly stowed, and that everyone felt ready for the journey ahead. She glanced at the man in the suit one last time and nodded politely, silently signaling that she would do her best to ensure a smooth flight. The man nodded back but did not smile, clearly still dissatisfied. Maya felt a mixture of relief and anticipation. She had handled the situation politely and professionally, but she knew that the man's call might have consequences. She returned to her duties, checking on passengers, offering drinks, and answering questions. Even though the tension lingered, she remained calm and focused, determined to pro. The flight continued smoothly, and the passengers seemed mostly comfortable. Maya walked through the VIP section, carrying a tray of drinks and checking on everyone. She smiled politely as she offered coffee, tea, and water to those who wanted it. Many passengers thanked her warmly, and a few even commented on how helpful and kind she was. Maya felt proud of her work and happy to make people feel comfortable during their journey. Suddenly, the calm of the flight was interrupted. A flight attendant approached Maya quietly, whispering that a manager was waiting for her and the VIP team at the front of the cabin. Maya's heart sank slightly, but she nodded calmly. She motioned for her colleagues to follow her and walked toward the front. The manager, Mr. Lewis, had a serious expression on his face, and his voice was firm as he greeted the team. Maya felt a wave of confusion and concern. "What is this about?" she asked politely. Mr. Lewis did not answer immediately. Instead, he looked at the team carefully before speaking. "We received a complaint regarding the VIP seating on this flight. The airline headquarters reviewed it and has requested to speak with all team members immediately upon landing." Maya and her team exchanged worried glances. They had done nothing wrong, and they had followed all rules regarding the VIP section seating. One of Maya's colleagues, Sarah, whispered nervously, "Do they really think we did something wrong?" Maya gave a reassuring nod. "We stayed professional and polite," she said quietly. "We followed the rules. We cannot control other people's actions. Let's stay calm and handle this as we always do." Sarah nodded, trying to stay composed. The rest of the team also adjusted their expressions, putting on the professionalism they were trained to show. Meanwhile, the man in the suit who had made the call remained in his seat. He glanced around the cabin and seemed satisfied with the attention he had received. Maya noticed his calm demeanor, but she refused to let it disturb her focus. She continued checking on passengers, offering drinks and ensuring comfort. The other team members followed her example, quietly performing their duties and keeping a positive presence in the cabin. As the flight approached its destination, Maya continued to feel a mix of worry and hope. She hoped that when the team met with the management, their professionalism and honesty would be recognized. She reminded herself that staying calm and polite was always the best approach, even when faced with unfair complaints. The passengers in the VIP section were mostly unaware of the tension. A young couple smiled as Maya adjusted a blanket for their child, and an elderly man thanked her for the assistance with his luggage. When the plane landed, the team followed the manager's instructions and gathered near the exit of the aircraft. Mr. Lewis spoke quietly but firmly, explaining that the airline had received a call regarding the VIP seating and that an investigation would take place immediately. Maya and her colleagues listened carefully. They explained the situation clearly, describing how they had followed all rules and remained professional at every step. Maya emphasized that the seating had been assigned according to the airline's policy and that they had only suggested the passenger speak with a manager if he wished to request a change. The manager nodded, but did not give any immediate reassurance. Instead, he informed them that they would need to meet with the airline's higher management for a review. Maya felt a mix of anxiety and frustration, but she maintained her composure. She knew that losing patience would not help the situation. She took a deep breath and reminded herself that honesty and professionalism were her strongest defenses. The team waited in a small conference room near the airport terminal. Maya observed her colleagues. Some were anxious while others tried to stay calm, just as she had suggested. She felt the need to support them, giving small smiles and words of encouragement. "We did our job correctly," she said quietly. "That is what matters. Let's stay calm and tell the truth. Everything else will follow." The team nodded, taking her words to heart. Minutes later, a representative from airline headquarters entered the room. She introduced herself politely but maintained a serious demeanor. The team was asked to recount the events on the flight in detail. Maya spoke first, explaining everything step by step. She described the seating assignments, the passengers' requests, and how they had remained calm and professional. Each team member added their own observations, supporting Maya's account. The representative listened carefully, taking notes and occasionally asking clarifying questions. Maya felt a sense of relief as they acknowledged the team's professionalism. She realized that despite the stressful situation, their honesty and dedication were being noticed. Still, the outcome of the review was not yet clear, and Maya and her team waited patiently, hoping that the truth would lead to a fair resolution. As they left the conference room, Maya felt a mixture of fatigue and quiet determination. She knew the next few hours would be critical, but she was confident that following the rules and remaining professional had been the right choice. She reminded herself that patience, honesty, and kindness could overcome even the most challenging situations. Maya returned to her team, offering quiet support, ready to face whatever decision would come from the airline management. Maya and her team sat quietly in the small office at the airport, waiting for the next instructions. The hum of the terminal outside created a strange contrast to the tension they felt inside. Each team member was trying to stay calm, but it was difficult. They had done everything correctly, followed every rule, and treated all passengers politely. Now they were waiting to see what the airline would decide. Sarah, one of Maya's colleagues, whispered nervously, "I still cannot believe this is happening. We followed all the rules. Why would someone call and make us look bad?" Maya looked at her friend and smiled gently. "Sometimes people do things we cannot understand," she said quietly. "We cannot control others, but we can control how we act. We stayed professional, and that is what matters." Sarah nodded, trying to feel reassured, and the other team members seemed to take comfort in Maya's calm words. After a few minutes, a senior manager entered the room. His face was serious, and he motioned for the team to follow him into a larger office. The team stood and walked carefully, their steps quiet. They were still unsure of what would happen next. Maya felt her heart beat faster, but she focused on staying calm and collected. She knew that losing patience or showing frustration would not help anyone. Inside the office, several people from the airline's headquarters were waiting. They looked at Maya and her team with serious expressions. One of them, a woman named Ms. Turner, spoke first. "We received a complaint regarding a VIP passenger who requested a seat change," she said. "We are reviewing the situation to understand exactly what happened. Please explain everything from the beginning." Maya took a deep breath and began to speak clearly and calmly. She described the boarding process, the seating arrangements, and how the VIP section had been assigned according to airline policy. She explained that the passenger had requested a seat change, and that the team had politely refused because the rules required approval from management. She also mentioned that they had offered to call the flight manager for assistance, but that the passenger had chosen to make a separate call instead. Each team member added their observations, supporting Maya's account. They described how they had remained polite, calm, and professional, even when the passenger had shown impatience. Maya noticed that the people in the room were listening carefully, taking notes and asking questions to clarify details. The team remained composed, speaking honestly and respectfully. After everyone had finished explaining, there was a brief silence. Maya felt a mixture of hope and nervousness. She knew that they had done the right thing, but the decision was not in their hands. She looked at her colleagues and gave them a small smile. They returned her gesture, feeling reassured by her calm presence. Finally, Ms. Turner spoke again. "It appears that your team acted according to the airline's rules and policies," she said. "You handled the situation professionally and treated the passenger with respect. We will review the complaint further, but your account and the supporting statements make it clear that you followed proper procedure." Maya felt a small wave of relief, but she knew that the outcome was not yet finalized. The team was asked to wait, while the senior management discussed the situation privately. Maya and her colleagues sat quietly, reflecting on the events. They felt a mixture of anxiety, hope, and pride. They had stayed true to their values and acted professionally, even when someone tried to make them look bad. Maya reminded herself that honesty and integrity were always important, no matter what challenges came their way. After a short time, the managers returned. This time, their expressions were less serious and they spoke with a calm tone. "We have reviewed the entire situation," Ms. Turner said. "It is clear that your team acted properly. However, the complaint was taken seriously by the airline, and we are working to address it in the best way possible." Maya felt a sense of relief washing over her. She nodded, grateful that the truth had been recognized. Despite the relief, Maya also noticed that her team was still tense. They had faced an unfair complaint, and the experience had been stressful. She spoke quietly to them, encouraging them to stay positive. After the meeting with management, Maya and her team returned to the airport terminal, still feeling a mixture of relief and uncertainty. The situation had been stressful, and while the initial review had shown that they had acted properly, there was still a sense of unease. Maya walked slowly, observing the passengers around them. Most people were unaware of what had happened, going about their travel routines quietly. She reminded herself that life continued, and she had to stay focused on her work. As Maya and her colleagues gathered near a small seating area, one of them whispered, "Have you seen what people are saying online about this?" Maya raised her eyebrows in surprise and quickly took out her phone. To her astonishment, she saw multiple posts on social media describing the incident. Many people were praising her and the team for their professionalism and fairness. Comments highlighted that the VIP passenger's request had been unreasonable, and that Maya and her team had handled the situation calmly and politely. Maya felt a wave of gratitude. It was reassuring to know that people outside the airline recognized the effort and honesty of the team. She showed the post to Sarah and the others, and their expressions changed from worry to surprise and relief. "Look at this," Maya said, pointing to a post. "People are supporting us. They understand that we did the right thing." Her team members read the comments, some nodding slowly, some smiling for the first time since the stressful morning began. News outlets had also picked up the story. Articles described how Maya and her team had been asked to follow airline rules while handling a demanding VIP passenger. Many reports praised the employees for their patience and professionalism, showing that they had acted fairly even under pressure. Maya realized that the story was spreading quickly, and the support from the public was growing stronger by the hour. Despite the attention, Maya remained calm. She reminded her team to stay focused on their duties and maintain their professionalism. She knew that the situation was far from over, and she wanted everyone to remain composed. "We did everything right," she said softly. "That is what matters. The rest will follow in time. Let's stay strong and continue doing our job with care." Her words gave comfort, and the team felt reassured that they had handled the situation with integrity. The airline, noticing the growing attention on social media, began its own internal review more seriously. Maya and her team were asked to provide detailed statements about the events of the flight. Each member described their experience clearly, emphasizing how they had treated all passengers fairly, followed the airline's rules, and remained polite even when the VIP passenger had been impatient. Maya's calm leadership during this process helped the team present their account clearly and confidently. As the day went on, more support from the public arrived. Passengers who had been on the flight shared their experiences, confirming that the VIP team had acted professionally. Social media posts highlighted the fairness and care shown by Maya and her colleagues, and the story began to attract widespread attention. People praised the airline employees for their dedication, honesty, and ability to remain composed under pressure. Maya felt a mixture of pride and hope. The recognition from passengers and the public reminded her why she loved her work so much. She had always believed that treating people with kindness and fairness was the most important part of her job. Now she realized that the public saw and appreciated that dedication. She quietly thanked her team for supporting each other and staying professional, even in such a difficult situation. The airline management could no longer ignore the public attention. They realized that Maya and her team had followed all rules and that the complaint had been unfair. Internal discussions focused on how to resolve the situation appropriately while recognizing the professionalism of the VIP team. Maya and her colleagues waited patiently, knowing that the truth was slowly coming to light. By the evening, Maya and her team felt more confident. The support they had received from passengers and the public had made a difference. They understood that challenges could appear unexpectedly, but acting with honesty, patience, and professionalism would always be recognized in the long run. Maya reflected on the day, realizing that despite the stress and uncertainty, she and her team had stayed true to their values and handled the situation admirably. As they left the terminal together, Maya felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. She knew that the events of the day would be remembered, not for the complaint, but for the way the VIP team had responded with integrity and care. She walked beside her colleagues, proud of their dedication, and ready to face whatever outcome the airline management would decide next, confident that their professionalism had made a lasting impression. The next morning, Maya arrived at the airport early, feeling a mixture of hope and anxiety. She and her team had spent the previous day reflecting on the events, sharing their thoughts and supporting each other. The public support had been overwhelming, and many passengers had praised their professionalism online. Maya felt proud of her team, but she also knew that the airline management still had to make a formal decision regarding the complaint. As Maya walked through the terminal, she noticed that colleagues from other flights were quietly whispering about the story. Some smiled and gave nods of encouragement, showing that they understood the situation and appreciated the way Maya and her team had handled it. She returned their smiles with a calm nod, feeling a mixture of pride and relief. She knew that the support of her coworkers would help them all feel stronger during the day ahead. The team gathered near the airline office, waiting for a meeting with the senior management. The air was quiet but tense. Maya took a deep breath and spoke to her colleagues. "We did everything right yesterday," she said softly. "We stayed professional, treated passengers fairly, and followed the rules. Whatever happens now, we have acted with honesty and integrity." Her words gave the team a sense of reassurance, and they nodded quietly, ready to face the meeting together. Finally, a senior manager entered the room. His face was serious but calm. He asked Maya and her team to sit, and then began to speak. "We have reviewed the events of yesterday carefully," he said. "We have also seen the public response and the statements from passengers. It is clear that your team acted professionally and followed the airline's policies. However, the complaint that was made has highlighted a serious concern regarding customer service and communication." Maya listened carefully, her hands folded calmly on her lap. She understood that the complaint had caused unnecessary stress, but she also knew that the airline had to respond to it formally. The manager continued, explaining that they had made a decision to ensure accountability and maintain the reputation of the airline. Maya felt a small knot of worry but remained composed, ready to hear the outcome. After a pause, the manager delivered the news. "The airline has decided to take immediate action regarding the complaint. We have concluded that the entire VIP team will no longer be employed with the airline effective immediately." The room fell silent. Maya felt a wave of shock and disbelief. Her colleagues exchanged stunned looks, unable to believe what they were hearing. They had acted professionally, yet this decision seemed unfair and harsh. Maya took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. She looked at her colleagues, seeing their fear and confusion. She spoke quietly but firmly. "We stayed honest, polite, and fair," she said. "We followed the rules. We did everything correctly. We should remember that, no matter what happens next." Her words brought a small sense of unity to the group. Despite the shock, they knew they had acted with integrity. The team was escorted out of the office and told to collect their belongings. Maya felt a mix of sadness and determination. She knew that the world outside would not always recognize fairness immediately, but she also understood that staying true to one's values was more important than any immediate outcome. Her colleagues moved quietly, sharing supportive words with each other as they packed up. Outside the office, the news began to spread quickly. Other airline employees and passengers who had heard about the decision expressed surprise and concern. Many praised Maya and her team for their professionalism, emphasizing that they had done nothing wrong. Maya saw the support growing around them, even as the official decision seemed unfair. She realized that their honesty and care had not gone unnoticed, even if the airline's immediate action did not reflect that. As they left the airport together, Maya encouraged her team to stay strong. "This is difficult, but we know the truth," she said. "We acted with integrity, and that is what matters. The world will see that even if it takes time." Her words comforted the group, giving them a sense of unity and purpose despite the disappointment. Maya also reflected on the larger lesson from the experience. She understood that challenges could come unexpectedly, and that sometimes unfair decisions might occur. However, staying professional, honest, and kind would always be remembered by those who truly mattered. Maya felt a quiet sense of pride in herself and her team, knowing that they had done everything correctly, even when facing pressure and criticism. That evening, Maya and her team went home feeling a mixture of exhaustion and quiet determination. They knew that the situation was not the end, but a difficult chapter they would face together. The next morning, Maya arrived at the airport early, feeling a mixture of hope and anxiety. She and her team had spent the previous day reflecting on the events, sharing their thoughts and supporting each other. The public support had been overwhelming, and many passengers had praised their professionalism online. Maya felt proud of her team, but she also knew that the airline management still had to make a formal decision regarding the complaint. As Maya walked through the terminal, she noticed that colleagues from other flights were quietly whispering about the story. Some smiled and gave nods of encouragement, showing that they understood the situation and appreciated the way Maya and her team had handled it. She returned their smiles with a calm nod, feeling a mixture of pride and relief. She knew that the support of her coworkers would help them all feel stronger during the day ahead. The team gathered near the airline office, waiting for a meeting with the senior management. The air was quiet but tense. Maya took a deep breath and spoke to her colleagues. "We did everything right yesterday," she said softly. "We stayed professional, treated passengers fairly, and followed the rules. Whatever happens now, we have acted with honesty and integrity." Her words gave the team a sense of reassurance, and they nodded quietly, ready to face the meeting together. Finally, a senior manager entered the room. His face was serious but calm. He asked Maya and her team to sit and then began to speak. "We have reviewed the events of yesterday carefully," he said. "We have also seen the public response and the statements from passengers. It is clear that your team acted professionally and followed the airline's policies. However, the complaint that was made has highlighted a serious concern regarding customer service and communication." Maya listened carefully, her hands folded calmly on her lap. She understood that the complaint had caused unnecessary stress, but she also knew that the airline had to respond to it formally. The manager continued, explaining that they had made a decision to ensure accountability and maintain the reputation of the airline. Maya felt a small knot of worry but remained composed, ready to hear the outcome. After a pause, the manager delivered the news. "The airline has decided to take immediate action regarding the complaint. We have concluded that the entire VIP team will no longer be employed with the airline effective immediately." The room fell silent. Maya felt a wave of shock and disbelief. Her colleagues exchanged stunned looks, unable to believe what they were hearing. They had acted professionally, yet this decision seemed unfair and harsh. Maya took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. She looked at her colleagues, seeing their fear and confusion. She spoke quietly but firmly. "We stayed honest, polite, and fair," she said. "We followed the rules. We did everything correctly. We should remember that no matter what happens next." Her words brought a small sense of unity to the group. Despite the shock, they knew they had acted with integrity. The team was escorted out of the office and told to collect their belongings. Maya felt a mix of sadness and determination. She knew that the world outside would not always recognize fairness immediately, but she also understood that staying true to one's values was more important than any immediate outcome. Her colleagues moved quietly, sharing supportive words with each other as they packed up. Outside the office, the news began to spread quickly. Other airline employees and passengers who had heard about the decision expressed surprise and concern. Many praised Maya and her team for their professionalism, emphasizing that they had done nothing wrong. Maya saw the support growing around them. Even as the official decision seemed unfair, she realized that their honesty and care had not gone unnoticed, even if the airline's immediate action did not reflect that. As they left the airport together, Maya encouraged her team to stay strong. "This is difficult, but we know the truth," she said. "We acted with integrity, and that is what matters. The world will see that, even if it takes time." Her words comforted the group, giving them a sense of unity and purpose despite the disappointment. Maya also reflected on the larger lesson from the experience. She understood that challenges could come unexpectedly, and that sometimes unfair decisions might occur. However, staying professional, honest, and kind would always be remembered by those who truly mattered. Maya felt a quiet sense of pride in herself and her team, knowing that they had done everything correctly, even when facing pressure and criticism. That evening, Maya and her team went home feeling a mixture of exhaustion and quiet determination. They knew that the situation was not the end, but a difficult chapter they would face together. Maya believed that truth, fairness, and professionalism would ultimately be recognized, and that their dedication would inspire others in the future. She looked around at her team, grateful for their support, and knew that their integrity had made a lasting impression. The days following the dismissal were difficult for Maya and her team. Each of them felt a mixture of shock, frustration, and sadness. They had worked honestly and professionally, yet the decision had been made against them. Despite this, Maya refused to let despair take over. She reminded herself and her colleagues that integrity, patience, and professionalism mattered more than any immediate judgment. They had acted rightly, and that truth could not be taken away. Maya spent the morning reviewing social media and news articles about the incident. The response from the public was overwhelming. Many passengers and supporters had shared positive experiences about the VIP team. Comments praised their calm demeanor, honesty, and dedication. Some highlighted how Maya and her colleagues had treated every passenger fairly, even when faced with a demanding situation. Seeing the support filled Maya with quiet pride and hope. She showed her team the messages, and for the first time since the dismissal, they smiled with relief and encouragement. The airline management could not ignore the public reaction. Within a few days, higher officials called an urgent meeting. Maya and her team were asked to attend. Their hearts raced as they entered the room, unsure of what to expect. The senior management team greeted them politely and asked them to sit. Maya noticed that the tone was different from before. The officials seemed more serious, thoughtful, and attentive. Ms. Turner, who had been part of the earlier meeting, spoke first. After reviewing the situation thoroughly and considering the public feedback, it has become clear that the VIP team acted professionally and followed the airline's rules completely. The previous decision to terminate your employment was made too quickly, without fully considering your actions. Maya and her colleagues listened carefully, a mixture of relief and anticipation running through them. The senior management continued, explaining that they had made a mistake in judgment. They acknowledged that Maya and her team had handled the difficult passenger correctly and had maintained calm and fairness under pressure. "We recognize that you displayed honesty, integrity, and professionalism," Ms. Turner said. "The airline sincerely apologizes for the inconvenience and stress caused by the earlier decision. Effective immediately, your positions are reinstated, and we will ensure that this kind of misunderstanding does not happen again." Maya felt a wave of relief and happiness. She looked at her team, whose faces reflected shock, joy, and gratitude. Tears of relief welled up in some of their eyes, and they embraced quietly, feeling a sense of victory and justice. Despite the challenges, their commitment to professionalism had been recognized, and they had been restored to their positions. After the meeting, the team returned to their duties with renewed energy and pride. Passengers noticed the calm, confident, and kind demeanor of the VIP team. Many expressed their happiness at seeing the employees back, praising their dedication and patience. Maya felt proud not only for herself but for her colleagues who had stood together through the difficult days. Their teamwork, honesty, and respect for rules had brought them through a challenging situation stronger than before. The story of Maya and her team quickly spread. Social media posts, news articles, and messages of support highlighted their professionalism and fairness. The airline even shared a public apology, acknowledging the mistake and emphasizing that the VIP team had been reinstated. Many people admired the employees for their integrity and patience under pressure. Maya realized that their actions had inspired others and set an example of how honesty and professionalism could overcome challenges. In the following days, Maya returned to her usual routine, serving passengers with the same calm and polite demeanor she always had. Yet there was a new sense of confidence and pride. She knew that challenges could arise unexpectedly, but staying honest, patient, and kind would always matter. Her team also carried themselves with pride, knowing that they had faced a difficult situation and emerged stronger and respected. Maya reflected on the journey she and her team had experienced. From the tense moments on the flight to the dismissal and eventual reinstatement, she realized that professionalism, integrity, and unity had been their guiding lights. Even when faced with unfairness, they had maintained their values. The public recognition and airline apology were satisfying, but the true reward was knowing that they had acted correctly and with honor. As the sun set over the airport, Maya looked around at her colleagues. They were smiling, relaxed, and